Ooh, okay, I'm going to mute us. Audio is live. Let's get this show on the road. Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Doublejump Radio. Let's without further ado, let's kick things off with a little intro.
You are now listening to Doublejump Radio.
G'day everyone, and welcome to another episode of Doublejump Radio, the official podcast of Doublejump.co. I'm your host Abir, and I'm joined by my co-host John. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm okay. I have been playing very few games, which is normal for the podcast. and watching lots of wrestling, which I'm not sure how much I'll talk about it. It's hard to talk about wrestling as like completely isolated, but we'll see.
I feel like that's the other like constant in our podcast is wrestling talk, which I love.
Not that constant. I don't bring it up that much at all.
But I look forward to it.
I think it always like lands in the same way though. Where it's like I talk about wrestling, I ran out of like, runway very quickly, and then yeah. But anyway, what about you? How's your week been?
It's been good, my friend. I am trying to. Oh, give me a second. Just wondering if everyone can hear it. If everyone can hear us just fine. You dig it? Thank you. Thank you while you dig it, or you dig it, should I say. I really appreciate you coming and say hi. How's the echo now? Is it a little bit better? Okay. Echo on my mic. Got you. Okay. Let me... Alright. I might turn off... Okay, I've just got my mic muted. The soundboard muted for a sec and while we do this. But yes, thank you. DC Brett, is it still echoing? You dig it says no. Says it's a bit better now. Good now. Cool.
Alright, good.
Teething problems, everyone. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us for a very special live recording of Doublejump Radio. Expect lots of talk about the latest in gaming news, the Batman, some Destiny 2, as well as some long-awaited wrestling talk, courtesy of our friends at AEW. John, let's talk about what was on the site last week. I guess the first story was Callum's Dying Light 2 review. Yes.
Yeah, it's like our first negative review with a star rating, I think. Oh wait, is that true? Maybe not actually.
I think so.
A star rating still feels so new.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I haven't kept track of it already. But anyway, yeah, it is more negative than our review. I think our recent reviews have been a little bit. But
yeah.
I was kind of disappointed here because I think reviews in general are kind of lukewarm. So I wasn't too surprised. But Callum seemed a bit more down on it than most initial.
And just to recap, Callum gave it a 2 out of 5 review. Essentially, he was a big fan of the original game, so he was expecting a lot from this. And I guess Techland, the developer / publisher, had a lot of made a lot of promises as to the narrative of this game and the scope of it and the impact of player choice, but it didn't quite play out in that way. And I think the disappointing part is that it's kind of gone backwards in a couple of ways. So if we look at what Callum said specifically, he found that it was overall a massive disappointment, and that, to quote him directly, somehow the writing and gameplay managed to be less coherent, the environment feels less varied, and the atmosphere is so very bland. It's probably not the type of thing you want to hear about or read about when it comes to a zombie apocalypse game. You think atmosphere and kind of vibes are the biggest part of it.
Yeah, it's not because I think I played it a couple years ago and I bounced off
the original.
So, and I bounced off I don't know. There's some point where you kind of shift regions. I don't know how far into the game it is, but I remember bouncing off quite hard after that point because I was having so much trouble with the special zombies. I think at that point in the game. Anyway, I was kind of surprised this one is apparently the same. So that was kind of disappointing because I was kind of wondering, could this one actually fix some of the troubles I had with the first game? Knowing that I was in love with it in the first place, so that's kind of unlikely. But still, I was kind of surprised that that seems to be kind of a thesis statement from Callum's review. Is so much of it is the same or slightly worse.
Yeah, 100%, and that's, you never want to hear that when it comes to a sequel. For anything, whether it's a movie or a game, and that's why I was especially disappointed. And you'd hope, you'd expect more.
Yeah, it took so long to come out.
Yeah, well, what is it like?
Like, there was so much trouble in
8
development.
years? Like, I think it was like at least 7 years because I think Dying Light 1 came out in like 2014. It was like an early PS4 game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, now it's coming out at the start of the next gen, and it's more or less identical from the sound. It sounds like better because I remember hearing other people say this. Like, I think the parkour has been refined, like those gameplay systems have been improved, but it doesn't sound like much else has. Like, it also sounds like it makes me think that when they announced this game, there was a lot of ambition behind it.
For sure.
More, and like it does make me think that they've really scaled down on those things over the years until we kind of got what we got, or what Callum got, because none of us played it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like, I guess the idea of the first person parkour and like, you know, really like traversing and just kind of the element of like, you know, you get more rewards when you go at night. You know, like kind of all the zombies are out. Everything's like higher stakes. I think is a cool concept, but I guess it wasn't executed well and worse this time around, which is disappointing.
Well, yeah, because that's something Callum noted was it might be true in the first game, but I remember it feeling like he said that you have the timer when it's nighttime, like counting down to the morning, and you also have a paraglider that makes everything very easy when it comes to nighttime.
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking about how, like, I didn't play, I don't know, I think I kind of avoided nighttime a lot in the first game, but I remember there being like you'd like didn't know how much time you had. Like, maybe I'm wrong there. Like, I feel like maybe there was a watch or something that told you. But I don't know. I remember being like, when nighttime hit and everything became stronger and scarier, it really it transformed the gameplay in a really interesting way. And it sounds like they might have dulled that down a bit in the sequel for the sake of kind of keeping the experience a bit more flatter. But I don't know. I'm kind of curious to play it now, but I also don't have like a very strong memories of the first. So I don't know. I'll just trust Callum's review and not play it. I think.
Yeah. Nah, that's what we'll do. I guess speaking of reviews, the next story that we had on the site was actually my review of The Batman from from Matt Reeves, who I guess people would be familiar with from the last two most recent Planet of the Apes films, and I guess the main thing with this is that it's a freaking fantastic movie. It actually shows Batman doing detective work and, you know, trying to solve the Riddler's riddles and like kind of solve a case. So we'll talk more about it in the chit chat section later on in the show. So for now, I just want to say, you know, I love it. I gave it 5 stars, but I'll talk more in depth about it later on. I'll keep it spoiler free because I know, John, you want to watch it. You haven't seen it yet. I'm sure plenty of people at home want to watch it as well. So we'll try and keep it spoiler free as much as we can later on. And I guess the final story was Jake's. I love it. Jake's I guess coverage of the official Pokemon Scarlet and Violet announcement over the weekend. It was last week. I think it was. It was late last week, and we'll cover that in the first news story. So I think that probably serves as a good segue as any, and I'll let's move on to the news. Got a quick question from DC Brett. Did you think the atmosphere was like the Gotham series? I haven't seen the Gotham series completely. Like, I've seen bits and pieces here and there, but I think it was more moody than the Gotham series. It's definitely not like the Nolan series was basically just Chicago. Like, Gotham didn't have its own kind of identity. And like, I would say that the vibe of this city was definitely a lot more dark and grimy. Like, it definitely felt more noir, like a seedy city, you know what I mean? It felt like there was definitely a lot more attention put to the difference between the really, how should I put it, the the really like kind of upper crust, pristine, beautiful like like gardens and billboards and everything, and then like the contrast between like the underground, the seedy nightclubs and like the alleyways. So I think it actually reminded me a lot of it actually probably reminds me more of the Batman animated series in terms of atmosphere than the Gotham series. But yeah, great. Thank you for the question. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the news at hand. John, the first, I guess, the elephant in the room is that there's a war going on right now. Over the past week, I think it's only been a week. It feels like longer, but Russia invaded Ukraine. Millions of people displaced, leaving the country, and lots of people staying back to fight. And I guess in solidarity with the Ukrainian people, a lot of companies, governments have placed sanctions on Russia, and it seems like the gaming industry is, not asked, like kind of doing the thing that it normally does and just ignore things that happens in the world. It's actually like kind of getting involved. EA Sports is one of these companies. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there, John.
Yes. So EA has removed both the Russian and Belarusian national teams from FIFA and NHL. I actually didn't know they were involved in NHL. Now I think about it, but it makes sense. And as well as joining a handful of, actually probably countless teams, companies at this point, and like actually, stopping their games being sold in Russia as well. Which I'm not sure if that. I think some of it like applies to Belarus as well, but most of it's just Russia.
Yeah,
as far as it's been reported. This only applies to Russian teams, whether it's like national sides or in FIFA and NHL 22, or the professional football clubs in like CSKA Moscow and Lokomotiv Moscow and a few others. Otherwise, the individual athletes that are Russian will be staying in the games with their non-Russian clubs. So I'm not quite sure how they handle it, if it like applies to like Ultimate Team and stuff like that. Or like in an impactful way. I don't know. Neither of us play. But anyway, yeah. So it's kind of like, it's very hasn't quite happened in games before, I think.
Yeah.
Like, this kind of global event impacting like it's like a minor thing, really. I'm kind of wary to give it too much significance. But
I guess it's all you can really do if you're like, this far removed from the situation.
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise, EA has joined companies like Xbox, Activision Blizzard, CD Projekt, Epic Games, PlayStation, specifically with their sales of Gran Turismo 7. I'm not sure if they blocked much else, but they might have. As well as Bloober Team as well, like the horror developer. They've blocked their game sales in Russia for at least for the time being. And yeah, there's just been like a general, push towards, at the very least making a statement.
Yeah.
If not just like actively removing their business from Russia, which is, So aside from that, there's been multiple studios donating money in their efforts to like aid Ukrainian citizens, and like so that includes Pokemon Company donating like 270 Australian. I'll just put it in Australian dollars from here on out because they're all different currencies. 11-bit Studios behind Frostpunk and This War of Mine donated 900k or around 900,000. The Swedish studio Fat Shark, who developed Warhammer Vermintide 2. I'm not sure if the same developer the first one.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I figured. They donated 40,000. Quantic Dream of Heavy Rain and Star Wars Eclipse, that was announced kind of recently. They donated just over 100k. And Clash of Clans Supercell, which is owned by Tencent currently, they donated around 1.35 million. And they said they would match a further million from any donations made by players afterwards. So so just like a lot of unified effort from the industry so far, at least on a business sense. Donations aren't a business expense really, but like still,
like it's good to see this. It's good to see. Like I guess this could be like a tangible, like this could have a direct impact on the people in Ukraine, and the relief efforts, helping keep hospitals running, electricity going, and things like that. That's definitely where we'd love to see this type of action happening.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to see the game industry actually be like doing something in a like purely positive, seemingly sense, because I feel like that doesn't happen too much.
Yeah,
like reported multiple times.
yeah.
So,
and I guess that brings us to our next story, which is a bit of a downer. Yeah.
Even worse.
Even worse somehow. So, long-time listeners, I guess game fans at this stage would be aware that Activision Blizzard's been facing a lot of turmoil. Prior to getting acquired by Microsoft, and for like $69 billion US, Activision Blizzard has been facing, lawsuits from different groups, and I guess most famously the California Department of Employment and Fair Housing filed a lawsuit last July, and one of the things that the DFEH cited in its lawsuit was the fact that an Activision staff member actually committed suicide while on a company retreat. That person wasn't named, and it's since, but this over the past week, the family of former Activision Blizzard finance manager Kerry Moynihan, who's the person who committed suicide, has filed a wrongful death lawsuit in the LA Superior Court. This actually comes via the Washington Post, who you see on screen right now. Some excellent reporting coming out of there. I think the Washington Post has been there, like breaking a lot of the stories with Activision Blizzard, and I guess the main allegation here, as part of the suit, is that the family's alleging that Kerry Moynihan's sexual harassment was, while at the company, was a quote significant factor in her death or in her committing suicide. Part of this allegation also is that her supervisor, Greg Restituto, who left the company shortly after her death, was actually her direct superior, and was also having a sexual relationship with her on the side, but didn't disclose any of this to the police, the investigative team who were looking into her death in 2017. I guess what happened was they're alleging that Greg actually lied to the investigators when they probed him into what was happening, into the circumstances around their relationship and the extent to which they were connected. According to this, he also, quote, seemingly made unusual inquiries with other employees who were present with Kerry the night preceding her death, which makes it like it's difficult to understand what this means, but it could possibly mean that maybe he was trying to figure out if other people knew about it. Like, that's what it sounds like, and he was kind of like openly asking people, like, oh, maybe something like that. The details are a bit, they aren't 100% out there just yet, but if it comes to trial, I'd expect that to come through. From what you've heard so far, like, does this seem part and parcel for something that could happen within Activision's ranks in terms of leadership?
I guess so. It's like reading through the articles, like it's like layers of aggravation, like or just anger. It's like it just kind of gets worse in such a like way that you don't really see in like real world reporting as much. Yeah, it's just like wiped the cell phone and laptop, like talking shady to the other employees.
Yeah,
it's just very upsetting, and it's not. I guess it's not a surprise, but it is. It does feel lower, like because this, like her death was reported as part of the coverage early on with the lawsuit, so that part isn't news. But I think
now we know who it is
that are coming out of it. Yeah, coming out of this lawsuit, another one.
And I guess apparently, according to the lawsuit, Activision Blizzard actually refused to turn over the victim's, her company issued laptop, and told the investigators, her mobile phone was wiped, so kind of hiding the proof. Potentially, like it seems shady. If you got nothing to hide, then why try to stop things from like taking its due course? And apparently, allegedly, also refused to give investigators access to her supervisor's laptop and phone, which is like kind of like further incriminating. I mean, we're speculating here, but from the outside, it definitely seems very, very suspicious that they wouldn't turn things over like that at the time.
Yeah, at the very minimum, at best, it's like incredibly disrespectful to the family. It's just like, so sick of hearing this stuff.
Yeah,
it's just like again and again, and it's like it's kind of getting somehow worse in aspects. Again, it's just
for sure.
I don't know. We end up repeating ourselves a lot when we like report on these kind of stories, or at least I do. So I don't have too much.
I think we both do, man. I know I do, but it's because there's so much. I think we're just so disappointed with what's been happening, and every time we hear something new, it's just kind of brings up the same feelings. So that's why I kind of excuse us for feeling this way about it. I guess just to close off the story, Restituto, so the supervisor at the time, so when this article was being made, he had declined to comment as of the writing, and Activision Blizzard, I guess, issued a generic statement of support, as you'd expect, and then added, "We will address the complaint through the legal process as appropriate, and out of respect for the family, we have no further comment at this time," which I guess is about all you'd expect from, Will Mahale or whoever's handling Activision Blizzard's lawyering duties at this time.
Yeah, that sounds yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but to cut that off hard, shifting energy.
Yeah, you can't.
Another situation.
Yeah, this is so opposite.
So when was it? Oh, like 2 weeks ago. A little bit over a week ago. It was International Pokemon Day, which is basically just an excuse for Pokemon Company to advertise. And this 2022's Pokemon Day had like a big slew of announcements. I think they're all relatively small except for the last one, so we'll go over it quick.
Yeah.
Pokemon Go got a bunch of Alolan Pokemon, which is from the Sun and Moon generation. I actually played that one, so I can actually say something. So only a handful have been added so far with that one.
Yeah.
I think it's like, 6 or something. Like, more than that technically, but not many. But the idea is that the next like 3 months will be like the Alola season.
Okay.
In game, so they'll be like trickling them out in like different events.
Was that the first like kind of? I think those are the games that had the first like kind of 3D-ish look, right? Or was that the remake of like Brilliant Diamond? And was it?
Oh,
I'm just trying to think like what came first.
Hey, in what way? What do you mean?
In terms of when they switched from like they actually went like a bit more 3D looking, and I think they were on Switch, right? Sun and Moon.
Oh, X and Y changed completely over to 3D. Yeah, I remember.
And that was on 3DS, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
As far as I know, that was the first one, but like they played with 3D graphics in the entries before it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, cause like Black and White right before it had, I think it was right before it, had like 3D buildings, but otherwise it was still sprite based.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pokemon Go is like, I think it's kind of like down the line in terms of like tech significance. But aside from Pokemon Go, we had Pokemon Masters X got a new update, so a Victory Road game mode and a number of new sync pairs, which I think it's sync pairs, as I understand it, like the gacha in this game. It's like a Pokemon and a trainer. I think that's how it works. I never actually tried it. Pokemon Cafe Remix got a new feature as well. I think it's kind of got something to do with like shinies as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that seemed pretty relatively unimportant, I suppose. Pokemon Unite got a new battle mode called Full Fury Battles, which is apparently very similar to League of Legends Ultra Rapid Fire mode. The idea is that it's like a shorter mode where you get to use your abilities more often. So it's just kind of, in theory, a lot more exciting. And they'll also be adding the Pokemon Duraludon, which is like kind of like a steel dinosaur kind of thing. That'll be in the game as well. Probably already, because we're reporting this pretty late. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl finally got the mythical Pokemon Shaman added, which I think was an event in the original games, Diamond and Pearl. It's like a, what's it called, like a mystery gift sort of event, something like that. So now it's kind of, now it's being added or, back into the remakes. And then, just to finish off this list of minor updates, Pokemon Legends Arceus got its first, like, quote unquote major update, Daybreak, so version 1.10 or 1.1.0. It kind of focuses on endgame content.
Yeah,
so
makes sense.
Like new Pokemon outbreaks, kind of a new like I think it's kind of like a battle tower thing, except it's kind of in a dream dimension. I think that's my understanding of it. There's also a new Pokemon Day mystery gift, which will be unlockable until the end of the month. And there was also the announcement of an upcoming new anime adaptation based on the Hisuian region. But it won't be an adaptation of the game. It'll have had an original story. It's going to be like online, like a lot of these Pokemon, anime miniseries are.
Yeah.
And other than that, the big announcement is the announcement of the next mainline games in the Pokemon series, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet.
I'll be interested in hearing, if chat, like if the, I guess those quote unquote minor updates to the existing games, I wonder if any of those are actually like exciting. It's hard to tell without like not playing Pokemon myself and those games in particular, just what the level of excitement is around those announcements. But yeah, tell us about the new games.
Yes, so there isn't too much information, but it's still like such a surprise because this means that I'll get to it later actually. I'll just go through the information. So Scarlet and Violet seems to be based in a place like a setting based on Spain, specifically based on the Iberian Peninsula, as kind of Sleuth figured out online pretty quickly. It's a peninsula that's divided between Spain and Portugal, and I think anyway, that's kind of it. Otherwise, there's not much information on that. Aside from that's kind of what the natural setting is going to appear like. It seems to be taking on a lot more open world elements, like Arceus, except this time instead of like segmented zones, like Monster Hunter kind of has. Like that was how I thought of it. It'll be seemingly a like full single kind world,
fluid.
Yeah, exactly. So like just from the official website, it will feature a quote, richly expressed open world with quote various towns that blend seamlessly into the wilderness with no borders. So just kind of talking around the fact that there won't be any like loading, I guess, between zones.
I feel like all the Pokemon games famously have had loading zones, like, even just moving between screen to screen. So I feel like they didn't have to go this far. I'm worried because I think it was announced that this game's coming out. It's slated for this year.
Yes. Yeah, so it's like set to release at the end of this year, which means that there's
not long.
Been technically 5 Pokemon games like on Switch released within about 14 months probably.
Yeah.
Because Diamond and Pearl came out in November. So it's kind of insane.
It's a bit soon. 13, I don't know. Like maybe. I mean, I feel like if I was a Pokemon fan, I probably wouldn't mind a break, and maybe more time with Arceus and explore that world a bit more instead of kind of being rushed into the next kind of mainline games. But yeah, I thought I kind of got I always thought that Arceus was kind of like the mainline Pokemon game for this year.
I would have thought so.
Yeah, given the scope of it, right?
Yeah. But it's apparently not. Which also kind of like the fact that there's another one coming definitely seems to squash the idea that there'll be any like major DLC or anything for Arceus aside from this recent update. So Also, I'll mention as well, just from the official site as well. Quote, you'll be able to experience the true joy of the Pokemon series, battling against wild Pokemon in order to catch them. Now an open world game that players of any age can enjoy, end quote. I basically said that because this one seems to be shifting back into like a battle focused, like combat oriented game series, like every other mainline game is.
Yeah.
So instead of like sort of the more varied gameplay experience in Arceus. Where so like I'm kind of curious to see if they would be, still have the sneaking around like stealth mechanics or not.
Stealth
that.
Pokemon in a traditional Pokemon game. That'll be hilarious.
Yeah. But it's like they still seem to be keeping a lot of like the, like kind of fleshed out natural world, which I'm very excited about. I'm actually not, I don't know, because I plan on getting Arceus pretty soon once my Joy-Cons get back from being repaired.
Did you send them to Nintendo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got an email the other day saying it's like, oh, they're coming back. So I was like, okay, good. They're not charging me $50 or so to
that's
get
good.
my Joy-Cons back.
Okay, run us through the process. So, when did you realize they were like doing the drift thing?
So to kind of explain as well as I can, drift is basically when the analog sticks kind of detach from the rest of the controller internally, and so they don't really so you'll kind of switch to the right, and then like if you try to like move it back, it'll kind of stick in position and it won't actually come back to like its neutral zone or anything like that. It basically just becomes completely inaccurate, and it kind of grows more inaccurate over time as you try to use it more.
Which is especially annoying in games where movement is critical. Like I can't imagine trying to play
games really.
Pretty much, but I think I'm not sure if mine do. I haven't played them. I haven't played my Switch enough to tell, but I think one of them was because I feel like in Mario Kart I wouldn't drive straight. I would be turning without pressing the button. So I think mine might be suffering from it, which frankly Nintendo knows what's causing it and hasn't fixed it, even in the new OLED Switch, which I think people were disappointed by. There's no improved internal design, which is frustrating.
Yeah, because as far as I'm aware, the reason it happens at all is just because of lower quality materials.
Yeah, it's like little plastic nubs in there or whatever that are just work down.
Yeah, but because all the controllers available pretty much suffer from this problem. Joy-Cons just get hit by it really fast.
Yeah.
Compared to everything else. So people with DualSense for PS5s, people are getting stick drift there as well. It just isn't happening at the same scale. Anyway, I'm just happy I'm not spending money to get these because they both broke. Both left Joy-Cons on both sets of Joy-Cons I have broke at the same time.
Oh wow!
So I can't play anything.
So what was the process? Was it like a form to fill out or something? Just I'd love the audience to kind of at least have an idea of what was involved from your point of view. From your side.
So, basically you just you have to go to the Nintendo's support contact page, send an email saying what the problem is. I think I got some sort of semi-automated kind of template email that has kind of the return free postage forms and the form where I fill in exactly the product details, the
serial number and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And
gotcha.
What I want repaired. So I tried to make it explicit as possible that it's it definitely has drift. I want this specific thing repaired.
Ambiguity.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I guess it worked.
And then
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And then so hopefully they're coming back this week and I'll get Arceus sometime soon.
Yeah, and I guess to finish off the story, I love these new starters, man.
Yeah. So the only new Pokemon revealed so far, which is pretty ordinary for how they market these games. So the first grass type is Sprigatito.
Sprigatito.
Yeah, grass cat. For Coco, a fire croc Pokemon. I've seen people it's like a pepper shape crocodile. I've also seen someone call it an apple because of the colors there. And then Quaxley. I was kind of wondering if it was if it's like Don Quixote, is it Quaily or something?
Oh, I thought. See, I automatically thought Quaxley quack, like a duck.
That's what I figured.
Apparently, he's meant to be
again today,
and he's like Elvis. So Elvis Presley, Duck Quaxley. I love his design. I love these Pokemon designs. They're so freaking awesome. Minato in chat. Hello, welcome. No, Bone isn't around at the moment. He said he'll pop his head in some point, so hopefully soon. Yes, sorry. Sorry, John.
Oh, I don't think I have much else to add, actually. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I do feel these starter Pokemons are an upgrade over what gen was it? I think the Alola ones kind of stood out as oh shit. I was looking it up like when it came out, but it was like the last two gens I feel have been weaker than this new current set. At least the starting, like first gen, like first evolution, whatever. I'm like I don't know. I'm basically agreeing with you.
No,
really.
who's your pick from these three? Sprigatito, Fui, Coco, Quaxley. Like, what do you think?
I really like the fire one. I like the cat one as well.
Yeah, the cat one.
The duck one doesn't speak to me as much. Personally.
I think the duck one speaks to me just because I love his hair. I think that's hair. I don't know if that's like that's got. I don't know, man. What if it turns out that it's like a slowpoke situation where it's actually like another symbiotic Pokemon sitting on his head?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting an image up because I haven't got it. But it's like, I think it's meant. Oh yeah, I actually didn't. I don't think I thought of it very far beyond. It looks like a hat. I guess it's his hair.
Yeah, like I mean, for me, like I think we're both cat dads, so cats are definitely the ideal situation here. But I think that like Fui Coco just looks so cute. He's like a little like crocodile fire thing, and I love his like his little quiff kind of like tough thing up top, and like Quaxley just looks smooth and suave. He just looks cool, and Sprigatito is like kind of that. I guess like kind of happy-go-lucky like cat kind of stereotype in Pokemon. Like I feel like either cats are really happy or they're really like nonchalant in Pokemon. I don't think there's an in between.
Well,
there's aggressive.
Shink's actually very nice.
Fox,
I was thinking Luxray.
No.
Maybe, probably. I'm not sure. I was gonna say Sprigatito seems like, as much as I like its design, it does feel like just a pretty generic cat that happens to be grass and green. So otherwise, I do like it.
Shinx, I guess, is a cat. I'm just pulling up a photo here for folks at home. Shinx. Oh, yeah, like Shinx is more like that kind of like happy Pokemon.
I was mainly thinking of Luxray, which is very mean looking.
That is very true. Let me get Luxray up. It's the oh yeah. Yeah, Luxray is kind of like the other trope, which is like kind of the the aggressive Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like it loses its smile. So it's like Shinx is smiling, and then Luxio is like kind of grumpier.
Yeah, because is it Shinx, Luxio, and then Luxray? Yeah, I am. Yep. Yeah, so he's like the little kid, the teenager, and then like the jaded adult or something. But yeah, that's I definitely love the new Pokemon, love the starters. I'm really interested in seeing what the new designs are like. I think this is a good sign. I feel like if the starters are good, that's usually a good sign of the rest of the cast. I think.
Well, it's like I actually really like the rest of the roster in last gen, like in Sword and Shield. I think it's just like the starters, because I like whoever designs them nowadays. But I feel like the starters haven't been quite as strong as these three.
Yep.
But I don't know, maybe we're talking too much.
I don't know. Maybe chat has got some other opinions. Chat, please let us know what if you were to choose a starter right now from the new gen. Who is your pick of these three, and why? Yeah, would love to. I'll read out whatever you guys write. So, onto the final news story, which is a little bit of a treat for me, which is Capcom announced Street Fighter 6 at the finals of the Capcom Cup event. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. So I was actually under the weather, and kind of like trying to fit in wedding planning and all sorts of stuff. So I do apologize that we missed last week, potentially even the week before. Time doesn't mean anything anymore. I think it just keeps going forward. And yeah, like Capcom did a countdown, and it came down to reveal Street Fighter 6. I'm not sure if you kept up with the stuff around this, John, but essentially the entire internet like freaked out because the logo from this apparently is from like an Adobe stock image.
Well, I think people didn't like it anyway.
Yeah,
it
it
is
was very
kind of an
generic.
awkward logo. Yeah.
And like some people pointed out that like the way I'll show it here, like I'll freeze frame it on the screen right now, and that it looks like it's the SF logo within a hexagon, like SF with a hexagon and then a number 6 in small writing. It makes it look like when your phone when you got an app on your home screen and it's got notifications and it's got a number next to it. It like makes it look like that, like, oh, SF's got 6 notifications, which I get, but for me the reason why I'm really psyched about it is that like this potentially, based on the fact that no other developers have been named, like this is like Capcom making a Street Fighter itself, the first one in a long time, because Street Fighter 4 was developed by a company called Dimps, and then Street Fighter 5 was developed, I think it was like basically started off as another game, and then Capcom kind of took it on, and then Capcom didn't have enough money to pay for the full development, so Sony stepped in with a co-marketing deal, and that's why it was exclusive to PlayStation and PC. And Capcom back then versus Capcom now is very, very different. Like, think about it. Like, there was no... Like, Capcom right now, I think, is kicking goals in terms of success. We're like Monster Hunter's still doing gangbusters, and I think selling better than ever. Resident Evil's doing really well. Like, the remakes have really done well, and the engine that they're using, you can really see it. You can see it here in that the RE engine that this game is running on has like kind of led to the game. It has a more realistic art style. Like, it looks closer to something like Tekken. Like, I mean, you can see like it's less of that kind of like animated, kind of fake animated look of Street Fighter 4
stylized realism.
Yeah, because like, I
Something
mean, like Street Fighter 4, if you look back now, is like kind of very like dark, and like the ink ideas were pretty cool. I think Street Fighter 5 sort of it's basically like they took Street Fighter 4, turned up the brightness and took away a lot of the splash, like the ink splashes. So it's like nothing, even hair and everything didn't look right, and this looks much better. Like this already, even this like short preview, if this is like in engine, it looks really good. And I guess at the bottom, the disclaimer, it says footage is still of a game in development, which suggests that it is in engine footage, which is the main thing. And like, I mean, let's talk about the fact that Ryu looks jacked. He's like super wide. He looks like a Marcus Phoenix or something like that from the Gears of War games. Did you have you seen it?
I like how that's the words. It's like super jacked, comma, wide.
Yeah,
describe people.
Yeah, and then like and then he's like basically the teaser trailer you'll see on screen now is and for folks at home listening on audio is basically Ryu facing off against Luke. So Luke was the latest character for Street Fighter 5. Capcom made it very clear that Luke is kind of the archetype that all the future Street Fighter 6 kind of gameplay or the characters are designed around. So it's kind of cool to see like that kind of continuation happen. You know, the old meets new. I'm not sure where it fits in terms of story, because it's like Street Fighter has that Fast and Furious thing where like I think technically Street Fighter 3 takes place after 4 and 5 still.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
And I don't know where 6 fits in. I presume it'll fit in, but still before 3 somehow.
Well, it's like because Ryu has like the beard, right? I haven't actually seen the teaser. Yeah. So I think I saw a lot of people assuming that this one would be set definitively in like the at the end of the timeline.
Yeah.
Currently.
Yeah.
So I do wonder
that would be cool. Like, I mean, what do you think so far of what you've seen? Like, do you like it? I mean, I actually don't know your background when it comes to fighting games.
I've played like almost no Street Fighter. I get fighting games occasionally to play with my sister, but we don't really play much beyond that. So I'm curious to see how this one turns out. Like, this is a very different kind of rerunning something. Like with Luke, do you think because he was like designed as like a Street Fighter 6 character, do you think his design was like from 6 to 5 or 5 to 6? Because like I remember people I remember a lot of people disliking his design in 5 a lot. I'm not sure if they like it much more in 6, but
you know what? I think it probably was a 6-5 situation, like based on the words they said. But I think that's probably more from I think it would be 6-5 because they definitely talked up the fact that it was representative of where Street Fighter's going. So he would definitely have to you would definitely have to fleshed out everything to make sure the gameplay and everything works, and I guess in the art style, like he definitely looks much better in the new game than the old game. Like the old game's engine, like Street Fighter V's engine, didn't really do it much favors. Like didn't really do the characters much favors. Let's be honest, they didn't really look nice, and especially when like games like the Street Fighter Alpha series, the Street Fighter 3 series, even the like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo remake, like remix, HD remix that happened on the 360/PS3, like all those games look beautiful and animate really well. And I guess maybe I'm a sucker because, Street Fighter, I think of Street Fighter as a 2D like sprite-based game still in my mind. So I personally would have loved to have seen like a hand-drawn art style a la, Street Fighter 3, but I understand that that's probably like very resource intensive, and that's why games like King of Fighters and Guilty Gear Strive, Arc System Works made games, they do the thing where it's actually 3D models, but with an art style that's reminiscent of like animation. So it's kind of like you get the efficiency of one with the style of the other, but it doesn't quite look as good. So
it's like a thing with Strive, because I remember seeing comments saying it's like, oh, I really want it to look like Strive, or like
or King of Fighters.
Their name.
Arc System Works.
Yes, that's right. And I was thinking, like, I saw other people chiming in afterwards, where it's like they can't sell costumes as easily that way, so they need like a full 3D setup where they can, they have to be quite as precious with the visuals.
Yeah, but, I mean, they could make the costumes, but without, like, try to minimize as much crunch, I guess.
Yeah, because like the way the Arc System Works stuff is like they have to put so much effort into like every single frame as they animate everything,
which makes sense.
Everything's like stretched out for the sake of like the visuals looking correct according to like their anime stylings. Yeah. So it's anyway, I forgot off track.
But I'm excited. I'll definitely be really interested in seeing how this goes. I really hope that Capcom continues the tradition of Street Fighter V's kind of cross-platform play. I think that now more than ever it'll be important to have, I'd love to see PS5, Xbox Series, and PC compatibility just to increase the player base. Like Street Fighter is such a beloved series, and it deserves that kind of treatment, I think. Because I would definitely appreciate that myself.
I feel like I'm not gonna stop hearing about rollback until it's confirmed. I'm kind of curious if that's actually
for sure,
because Capcom's been pretty stubborn. Without like a lot of Japanese developers.
And as part of this, like Capcom also announced like the Capcom Fighting Collection, I think it was.
That's right.
Yeah. And that I believe does have rollback netcode. So essentially, that was a collection of like 10 classic Capcom fighting games. So I guess the whole list was it was rollback netcode, was definitely on there. Because like you had like kind of the games that were Darkstalkers, like Vampire Hunter 2. Like it's just looking at the like. For folks at home, I'm just playing the announcement trailer of the Capcom Fighting Collection, and just 2D sprites really age well. Even if they are, you see the blocks of all the pixels and everything, they still look amazing. Whereas 3D doesn't. Like, look at Tekken 1 or Tekken 2 compared to now. Like, it definitely doesn't age as well.
Yeah. Do they look closer to, like, Virtua Fighter? Oh, is that what it's called?
Like Virtua Fighter, I think, had a bit more of a style to it in terms of, I think, by virtue of the hardware, like the Sega Saturn, like couldn't do textures and stuff as well. So I think a lot of their style was like basically flat colors rather than like Tekken had like more shading and things like that, a bit more detail. Yeah, but I definitely am keen to see how this Capcom Fighting Collection works, and I guess keep an eye out, have a look at reviews and stuff if you find that it's a good enough game. Like if you do want to see another, I guess, Darkstalkers fighting game, another versus game, another puzzle fighter, I guess you got to put your money where your mouth is and grab something. Obviously, don't pre-order. Wait till you get some idea of what the game's like, and then
don't make Abir's mistakes.
Yes, because I was just like thinking like I feel like we're going to talk about this later, but it went a couple of months ago, I was like, oh, who's going to pre-order Destiny 2? Which screen? And then next thing, like, which edition should I get so I can get everything?
Yeah, well, at least this one turned out good. But
yeah,
we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. I guess that's going to do it for the news, everyone. We'll end it on a more positive note. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out, because things are still developing in terms of what's going on with Ukraine, Activision Blizzard, and all sorts of stuff. I'm expecting to see. I think, like, there was a rumor around Project Scarlet, which was the PlayStation equivalent of Xbox Game Pass. Like Jeff Grubb, one of the a gaming journalist, he apparently his sources point out that Sony is going to unveil at least the first steps, officially unveil what that service is going to look like. And at this stage, it'll probably be just limited to internal testing, but at least we'll publicly be able to get more details and learn about its existence. And apparently that's due to happen this month. So, not long left to find out what's happening with that, I guess, according to the rumors.
Yeah, there'll be Monster Hunter's getting an announcement, getting a stream in a week, I think. That was just announced a few hours ago or so. So that's also happening within next week. Because I don't know, I bring it up because Monster Hunter, I think it's Daybreak or something.
Which one?
Sorry, the expansion for
I
Riot.
think it was Daybreak. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking it's wait, didn't I just say that earlier? That word. But anyway.
Sunbreak.
Sunbreak. Okay.
Yes. The Daybreak is like a weapon.
Pokemon thing. Wasn't that what the Pokemon update was called as well?
Probably. Let's be honest.
Isn't that what I just said?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was what I said.
Yeah. Sunbreak. Alrighty then. How about we move on to the I guess general chit chat section of the show. Would be we can talk a bit more off topic and get a little less serious about things. So let's jump into that one. So big release over this past week was The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Jeffrey Wright, Paul Dano, and Colin Farrell in a very my wife didn't realize that he was in the movie.
Oh yeah.
His makeup, the makeup team did such an amazing job with not just Colin Farrell's, but everyone else. Oh, my cat she's broken her way into the room and she's investigating the podcast situation. Let's see if I can put her on a seat. Folks may be wondering at home who are watching things live, why did I have an empty office chair behind me? This is the reason why, because I knew at some point she would barge in and want to be part of the show.
A good idea, actually. That would work on my cat.
Yeah. I was like, I know it's going to happen. Why don't I give her a spot rather than her walking on my keyboard and just causing all sorts of havoc? But yeah, I guess let's start off with the fact that I freaking loved it. I reviewed it. I actually got the chance to watch it at an advanced screening on Wednesday the 3rd, so I think, or the 2nd, like the day before it was officially released in cinemas, and I freaking loved it. It was so good that like literally I wrote the review because like we got home pretty late, obviously, because the movie's like 3 hours, and then
Yeah.
like my wife wasn't feeling well, so she woke up at like 4 something. So basically, once she woke up, I was just thinking about the movies, and like I have to write the review now, or it's not going to happen. So I just like kind of like quietly had my phone out on the side, trying not to wake her up while I wrote out the review. I just had to get it out, you know. Sometimes things are just on your mind that if you don't get it out, you know you're going to forget them.
Yeah. It's yeah, I did want to ask, like, did you really feel the length of it? Like the duration? Okay.
I guess I did feel it. Like, there's definitely a point in the film where it feels like, okay, this is the closing point. But then, like, if you saw it as like a Marvel film or like other movies, other like comic book movies, it'll probably end there and you'll be fine. But then there's like there's actually like the third act is actually after that point, and it's like the last half an hour where you get a lot of the character development and the growth. Like, it's
Okay.
this is probably the only Batman film where like, I mean, you could say sort of like The Dark Knight does it, but it's like this is the only Batman film where Batman is actually like it's depicted at coming to terms with his responsibility.
Oh, okay.
And there's a bit of growth in terms of like, you know, going from the masked vigilante to a hero, you know, that transition, and like this film very clearly like signposts that and shows that happening. And it's like, I actually appreciated that because it didn't just make Batman like, you know, just a one-dimensional character, which I think like he kind of suffers from, especially in the Ben Affleck films. He doesn't really there's nothing really memorable about him besides the fact that he's like wide.
Yeah,
Again,
Ryu-like.
Yeah, Ryu-like in his appearance. But yeah, like I really
Yeah.
really like this.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Like, because I didn't like, you mentioned Affleck's version, and I really didn't like his version all that much, which a lot of people tend to, I don't know, it's pretty divisive in that sense. People either really like him or not, but, his performance, I mean.
Yeah.
But it's, anyway, yeah, no, I'm kind of curious to see. It's like, because when he's like, see, like, just pictures of Pattinson in the suit and everything, it just feels so angsty. You know, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's
Yeah,
just like it's
it's
kind of
very
hard to
different.
imagine it melding with the Batman, like as like, you know, Batman as a character in my mind without actually seeing it. So I'm very curious to see actually how it pans
Yeah.
out.
Like I guess like the premise of the film is that this is like the second year of Bruce Wayne being the Batman, and like this version of Bruce Wayne is what you'd expect from someone who's been like kind of recluded for his like pretty much his whole adult life. Like it's a surprise whenever he pops out in public, even though he's like from this like well-known family, and like it delves into, you know, the gray areas of like, you know, good people turning bad and things like that. And like he's literally wearing eyeliner and stuff in this movie. Like he literally looks like someone who's like going crazy, you know, obsessed with being a vigilante, like not sleeping, not eating properly and stuff like that. It's like this movie really captures what you'd imagine someone who would be obsessed with being, you know, this vigilante figure would be like that. I think that's what this movie really does well. Like he really captures that as both Bruce Wayne and as Batman. Like he's not cool, you know, like,
Yeah, that was
you know what I mean?
because I think about that sometimes. Like every time, Keaton's version from the
Yeah.
Tim Burton films, like
Yeah.
he's such a weirdo, like as a
Yes.
character, and I really
Yes.
love that. And I really wish people thought of like appreciated that more in
Yeah.
like, you know, current thoughts of Batman in general. Because like I don't, Because like I feel like when people talk about like what Batman should be or what they want to be, it kind of like thoughts can kind of veer towards having it be especially almost like abstract take on what's essentially still a superhero. You know, like just kind of going too far in one direction. Where I really like Keaton's version because it's like he's so obviously such an odd person, where it makes total sense as you're like kind of watching him and reading his like personality. And it's like, yeah, that guy would suit up in a Batman outfit and fight
Yes.
lower
Like-
economic people.
And the thing is, like Michael Keaton's Batman isn't cool.
Yeah,
Like he
Oh,
is
was he
eccentric.
at the time though?
I mean, maybe, but like I guess that's true. Like, because like Adam West's Batman at the time was cool, but like you look back now, it's really campy. But at the time, like people took it seriously. Like, oh, he's a crime fighting, like, yeah. Now everyone says, oh, it's super campy and like kind of dumb. But back in the day, it was probably like the cool thing. Same thing with like Michael Keaton. Like, I remember him being cool when I was a kid. But I guess I didn't even remember the Val Kilmer movie. Like that just never even happened. I knew that the George Clooney one existed because I think I was old enough to know who George Clooney was. But definitely the Christopher Nolan films. Like for me, the Batman that I guess I grew up with was the animated series,
Right.
with Kevin Conroy as Batman. Like that was like Bruce Wayne was cool in there, and he did have like kind of the quips that you kind of like think about when it comes to Bruce Wayne, like with the Nolan Batmans. But the Christopher Nolan, like the Christian Bale Batman is cool. Like that Bruce Wayne, he's a cool guy outside of his life. Like I guess in The Dark Knight Rises, like when he's like meant to be older, he's not as cool. He's like recluse and things like that, eccentric. But for the first two movies, he's definitely seen as a cool guy. He's like, oh, I bought this hotel. Oh, look at me. I've got a model on my arm. Things like that. Whereas this doesn't have that.
It does remind me of. I feel like I might be describing it wrong, but I'll try my best because it's been so long since I've read it. But like Grant Morrison's run on Batman from some time ago, it's like the defining trait of his character is that like he's kind of the fantasy of Batman as this like super cool, completely perfect Batman kind of person. One of the kind of continuing, like it's almost like a running joke is how Batman is prepared for everything.
Yeah.
And that's true to a degree, but not whatever. Depends on the story and the writer and stuff. And like that one, Morrison kind of took that to an extreme where he's like so completely perfect and prepared for everything that he's got nothing else. Yeah, like he's just this complete lunatic, and like it ends up being where he even has like a backup for when his mind is erased, where he's like kind of like really like scrambled together this entirely different like persona that's like this kind of weird what's the word? It's like a mosaic of Batman.
Yeah.
It's just completely insane because it's like this big
like
red
idealized
outfit. Like it's anyway, I may have described that wrong, but my point is that like I really like it. I remember it fondly just because of how like it kind of takes what people think of him and like him for, and just like pushes it to such an extreme that it almost makes it uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, can't do that all the time, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think this definitely does a really good job of like having a unique Batman. Like unfortunately it seems like all I feel like only Kevin Conroy's Batman doesn't have a gruff, like doesn't put on like a deep voice, like like a put on voice when he's in costume. I think that started with Michael Keaton. Because he had that like I'm Batman, like that was his thing from like the 80s, and I think every film portrayal of Batman has carried that on, which I think is a bit funny. But
yeah, but that's probably right. Yeah, what is his voice like in this one?
I mean, like he literally says, "I'm vengeance." Like you hear it in the trailer. Like it does come across very silly, but yeah. Sweet. We've got a comment from Cad J Name. Cadge Name. I fully laughed at the muscle car Batmobile, so it's good to know that deconstructing the thing I was laughing at. I actually enjoyed the. So, okay. before this movie came out, there was like this like fan like book you could buy and stuff, which had like kind of it kind of filled in the lore of this movie. So apparently in this movie, Batman, like Bruce Wayne, was a street racer as a kid, as a teenager.
Oh.
You know, it kind of does do that thing where it's like he's just perfect at everything. Like he's like solving problems on the fly. He's good at riddles. He's good at a crime scene. He's good at climbing. He's good at fighting. He's good at riding his motorbike. He's good at, you know, street racing or whatever. And it's like, and apparently like he basically built this Batmobile himself. Like it kind of, you see it in the movie where there's like bits and pieces of engines and parts everywhere. So this Batmobile, it's like obviously the Batmobile from, I wouldn't say this is more realistic, but it kind of makes more sense in terms of like what would a recluse like what would be a more realistic Batmobile that was basically just, you basically think of the toughest like low weight, like low to the ground car you can think of, which is a muscle car, because you can actually park it and move it around. Like there's no Batcopter built into it. There's no Bat cycle coming out of it. There's no rotating wheels or anything. It's basically just a muscle car. Like super built muscle car with a jet. Okay, there's still a jet engine in the back for some reason. That I'm gonna give him that. But I think it looks really cool, and like it definitely looks it looks more believable in terms of what it does. Like it's not shown. He basically just like punches through vehicles and stuff. He's not driving up walls. He's not flying or anything like that. We saw in like the Batman. Was it the Batman Forever, Batman and Robin? You know, the '90s movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like ridiculous. It's not ridiculously long like the Michael Keaton ones or whatever as well. Like it's not like basically a land speed record rocket. It actually looks a bit more believable. And I think this movie is like a great ad for motorcycles, if anything, because both him and Catwoman like ride really sick motorcycles and look really cool while doing it. I mean, I guess look cool. I mean, Bruce Wayne when he's not Batman is basically just looks like he just looks like someone from Brunswick who didn't shower for a while and then got on a motorbike. Which is very so I really enjoyed the movie. I think it was pretty cool. I really, really loved it. I really think everyone did an excellent job like acting in it. Like I really loved Catwoman's portrayal. I think Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, like I think them two like really work well together. Their relationship, like the tension between them was palpable. Like you could actually believe it. And there's no ridiculous thing where she was like she's Catwoman because she was a cat burglar who likes cats. She's not a Catwoman because she fell out of a window and was resurrected by cats and now meows everywhere and walks around like cats. Wait,
when was that a thing?
That was a Michelle Pfeiffer in
okay.
I think it was Batman. I think it was the second Batman Returns.
Okay, been a while since.
Which
Apparently.
and like she's not forgettable like the Anne Hathaway Catwoman, which she didn't really have much to do. Like it really wasn't explained why she was Catwoman in that movie. Like it didn't really fit. Like maybe it was the casting. Like I just I didn't believe Anne Hathaway as an action star, whereas Zoe Kravitz, like the physicality of the fights and everything, you can see that like you can believe that someone like her would be essentially she's got a vendetta against one of the main characters and she's trained like her whole life to get revenge. So she's similar to Bruce Wayne in that they're both like kind of driven, but one's seeking revenge whereas one's like trying to save the city. So it's like they're both obsessed in different ways. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed that dynamic. There's some like, yeah, this, and I got to highlight Paul Dano as the Riddler. Really, really like great villain. He really like he's like the complete opposite of Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
I'd imagine.
Like he like this is kind of taps into the modern Antifa or whatever. Like you know you can believe where this type of person, like this conspiracy theory, like violent conspiracy theory believer, taps into that part of America. Like you really believe this type of person can exist, which I guess kind of makes it scarier. The fact
That's
that
kind
it
of
is
the
so
impression.
believable.
I thought his impression. I was under the impression that his character was like a Channer or something, or at least
What's a Channer?
like a 4chan person
Oh
or
yeah,
8chan or whatever.
maybe imagine someone who's a 4chaner but who actually has like a reason to be like that. Like, yeah,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
sounds good. I'm
yeah.
just. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Are you interested in like the 6 spin-offs coming out of this movie?
That's what I like found out afterwards, that there are spin-offs. Like I just thought this was like okay, they're like a big bet. We're hoping that this sticks, and then from that we'll see what happens. But like I would definitely be keen to watch a Catwoman movie. But I think there's like shows announced as well, right?
Oh, that's the one I'm talking about. It's
So
like
it's a Catwoman
I'm not
show?
sure if there were movies.
Yeah.
No, it's like there's a Penguin movie or show, and then there's like one that's like it started off as a GCPD spin-off. But
Yeah.
apparently it's kind of turned into more of an Arkham Asylum show.
Yeah.
That's the only ones
That's
I know
right.
about.
There we
But
go.
it's not like like
Mm.
they were just kind of like
Yes.
gung ho with these spin-offs like before it came before it came out because they were announced a while ago. So I'm kind of thinking
believe
it's
that.
like there's probably gonna be more.
Like this is like this is from Collider from today. This is Matt Reeves speaking to Game Radar. Like Matt Reeves said that the GCDP thing, that story has kind of evolved. We've actually now moving more into the realm of exactly what would happen in the world of Arkham as it relates coming off our movie. And some of the characters, again in their origins that you would almost leaning to the idea of, it's like a horror movie or haunted house that is Arkham. I guess, and he talks about, he says like, the way that Gotham is a character in the movie, I really want Arkham to exist as a character. I 100% believe that he can pull this off. If he produces it, that whoever directs it will pull it off, because that makes sense. Like, Gotham has a presence here. It doesn't just look like
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, like in the Nolan films, or just like not even shown in like the Ben Affleck movies. And I guess like Michael Keaton's one had like, it definitely had a look to it, but it definitely, all I remember from it is like, it looks like low budget. Like, it looks like very fake. But I guess that's like kind of a limitation of the time, painted backgrounds and whatnot. So I'm not going to hold that against it. Definitely had a style, and I think the Gotham in this really does believe, like, imagine like he created his like an actual city called Gotham, not just a city that already exists, and just recolored it, which I think I really appreciated, and I can definitely see Arkham being portrayed this way.
Okay.
Especially, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm really excited for all these spin-offs. 6 seems like a bit much.
I don't know.
mean, yeah.
I'm almost willing to bet that there'll be 6. This seems like a lot already. Like by the time the third movie comes out, there's gonna be like 12.
Yeah. Like, I wonder. But yeah, I'll definitely watch like a Catwoman spin-off. I would 100% be like down for that.
Alright.
Yeah. Well, how about I'll quickly touch on Destiny 2: The Witch Queen. Love it so far. A lot of fun. There's a new legendary campaign which really ups the stakes in terms of single player, where you traditionally just like plow through all the enemies and kind of not have to. There'd be like no consequence. In this, when you play with legendary, you really have to think strategically. You can't just shoot. Like, you can't just stand there and just shoot everything. You have to kind of take cover and make decisions. I really, really like that. It's challenging, and you wipe, and everything resets, but you just go at it again. I wonder if this is like what the Souls players really dig, but now we're getting a taste of it.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
Like when you die, you wipe like basically the checkpoint, and like all the enemies come back, and you have to try again. And it's like, I wonder if this is like kind of that appeal of Dark Souls and stuff, where it's like, I want to beat this next level. Like, I know I can do it. It's the game's not being cheap. I just know it's difficult, but I know it's doable. And then you feel that sense of achievement, and you get rewarded for it. You get extra loot. It's great. The amount of like dopamine hits you get at the end of each like encounter that you defeat is awesome. So I really am enjoying it so far. Yeah, I'm keen to
It
play
sounds
some
like
more.
very like arcadey almost, more
Yeah.
than it does Soulsy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's true actually. Yeah, it definitely. I'm definitely really enjoying it so far, and it's like made me think about my build, my character a lot more. I guess like people who do hardcore raids and really high level content probably already think that way, but like for someone who plays like solo, I haven't really had to think like that. But this has made me think like that in terms of specking out my character and the different abilities I have, the different armor sets, the different weapons I use. So really stoked for that.
Cool.
Right. But yeah, chat, please feel free to ask us any questions on anything we're talking about. Definitely would love to hear your thoughts on Batman, on Destiny, if you played it so far. But John, I think this is my favorite part of the show, potentially.
It's not like it's not much. I guess it's technically a recurring segment.
Yeah, I guess it is. It's Wrestle Talk.
Yeah. Yeah. So yesterday in Australian time, so it aired from 9 to 1. It was a long show. It takes around 4 hours, and then there's also the extra one where there's like an extra hour of also wrestling. So it's like a big show. It was All Elite Wrestling's Revolution for this year. So they have 4 quarterly pay-per-views. They're kind of like tent poles for like the years, like all their stories kind of build towards that, and they kind of build again to the next one, so on. Yeah, it's very very good, just like they usually are. It's like a lot of very good matches with a lot of variety. So it's like I'll try and bring up like the card list because I'm not sure how much anyone would care, but let's try it because I usually just kind of ramble on for a while without really saying anything. But yeah, so like I don't know, because like their last pay-per-view was Double or Nothing, I think, or no, it can't be Double or Nothing. It has to be another one. Oh, already losing it. But like so this one was the first one with Adam Page as like the top champion. Like he's like first pay-per-view defense. He's someone who's like built up for like more than 2 years to take the belt off Kenny Omega. Now he's like won the belt, and now he's kind of getting more confident. And there's a lot of really good character work going into that arc still. And I'm actually not sure how to talk about it because like no one's gonna know the names unless you actually follow wrestling, so it's hard to get into it. But anyway, I'll just run down the card and I'll see what sparks my interest. So first was like Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's like these guy have been on the indies for like literally decades and has like suddenly got into AEW and everyone's just latched onto him as someone that just the pure face.
But unrelated to Kofi Kingston?
Yeah, completely unrelated.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of shared names in general. Like even in AEW, there's a lot of shared names.
Gotcha.
Because like the last match, the world title match was against Adam Page and Adam Cole. So I've seen a lot of bad jokes saying it's like, I bet Adam's gonna win, and it's like there's a lot of cages and pages in the company as well. Like there's a lot of
course,
synonyms, I guess. Yeah, so Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston done like a kind of old school Japanese match where it's like really working really stiff, hitting each other like crazy hard, like lots of like chopping and like striking and everything that just looks painful. Then and like it was kind of
so it was a shoot, not a work. Is that what I say? It was like kind of like it was more realistic rather than like trying to fake for spectacle.
Yeah, it's like stiff is like working stiff means like basically laying in harder rather than like kind of holding it back as much as you normally would against anyone else. There was a lot of that this show. A lot of working stiff, I think. Next one was this 3-way tag title match, which means there's 3 pairs of 2, so 6 people all at once, like going for the tag titles, which is like. So I had Jungle Express, who were the Jurassic Express, who were the champions. Then Young Bucks versus and Red Dragon. So, like Young Bucks are like this match basically had like their fingerprints all over it. It's like this really complicated layout. Everything's moving so fast and so fluidly. Like everyone's putting in like their best work. Like it's, I don't know, it's like all these like crossing of different
My God,
I don't know,
man.
it just
It's so
like
cool.
you're watching it and you're like so drawn into it, and like everything's moving so quickly because like not only is a tag match, there's a tag match. It's like a 3-team tag title match that's moving at the same pace or even faster.
Yeah.
So they're constantly like leading each other into counters and like, you know, like surprise attacks from like different directions, and everything's like so, I don't know, it's like absurdly clean and high level for something that had to take so much work and thought during it. Like it's insane.
Oh my God. That's the thing, like I haven't heard this much excitement around wrestling in a long, long time. I mean, I don't hear it anymore about WWE, obviously. So it's cool to hear that, you know, storylines that actually, like, you know, storylines and pay-per-views where you actually want to watch the whole thing, not you have to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, it's very because like I'm not kind of, the stories have been better lately to a degree, but they've kind of, I feel like they've kind of dropped off over the last year to a degree. I don't know. Everyone has different opinions when it comes to wrestling storylines because they're so like, they're planned out, but there's also like a level of not improvisation, but like testing the waters constantly to like see what's getting over, what's not, like how to approach a story. Like they have their plans, but I don't know, it all feels very you know, kind of unsettled, you know, like everything can change to a degree, especially with stuff like injuries.
That it's like, I know like a lot of it's like, I know it's meant to be fake and blah 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 blah, but some of like, it actually takes a lot out of you to be able to like you still get injured and it requires a lot of work to like pull your punches, or, you know, like hold someone and not like actually hurt them, you know what I mean, like to stop momentum like that and stuff. And like there's no wonder that there's so many like torn muscles and things like that. Just like, it's crazy, man.
Like on that topic, it came out like a month or two ago, because Kenny Omega, who was like a big fixture of AEW for a long time, but he's been out with injuries for a few months, like since he lost the belt in December, I think. Yeah, that sounds right.
To Adam Page.
Yeah, yep. Like since that happened, he's basically been kind of coming clean on all his injuries, and they're like, it's like complete like laundry list of like stuff he's been working through for years. So like the one thing that stands out is that he's had vertigo for like several years that he actually wrestles with, which is like the most insane kind of thing to do, because like not only risking someone else getting hurt, which is kind of a real problem, but the fact that he can work around it without anyone knowing. Because like I personally have motion sickness, so I kind of know what it is when it's intense. And like the fact that he can do what he does,
dude,
for like
crazy. Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. Oh man.
Yeah.
How is he working like that?
Yeah. Because he said he kind of explained it, where he said like because someone like figured out what match it was and when it happened, and it was like when he got like dropped on the back of his head. And then he kind of it was like the match wasn't over either. So he kept going with that match. And then it's just kind of been a fixture of his life since. And like someone said, like he said something about how he kind of shuffles around instead of walking now. Like he's got so many like, you know, long-term injuries that is like, it's kind of incredible that he's been doing anything. Like you said, like it's hard to get out of bed sometimes just because of how like, you know, much pain and how like immobile a lot of his body can be.
Yeah, because like a lot of wrestlers, like especially like wrestlers traditionally don't live very long, and traditionally like I think they've had issues where, you know, substance abuse becomes a thing, because like you go from like prescribed pills to like that's not strong enough anymore to like, you know, low level drugs and then hardcore stuff, and it just kind of ruins you. Like then that kind of like compounds the issue.
Yeah, a lot of bad stories
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like, thankfully it's not as big a deal now. It's like kind of like also sort of a running joke is the idea that like this current generation of active wrestlers are like generally wrestling nerds and also play a lot of
Yes.
games and stuff. Like
Yeah,
they're all like almost all of them are the same kind of nerd where they're super into video games.
And super into wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. And like so they have like a different view of wrestling that's different from like the ego-driven approach.
Yeah.
Like Hulk Hogan, he like completely wrecked the people around him
Yeah.
in like as a collaborator. Like he would like push everyone down, he would like take control of whatever that would benefit him. And like a lot of people were like that. And like nowadays it's like very, very collaborative and cooperative.
Yeah. Like they literally play they'll play Fortnite after. Like they'll literally play like legal like, Raid Shadow Legends or whatever in the locker room. Like a lot of them do game, you're right.
Yeah, like it's I don't know. I think I'm not sure why I mentioned it. It's just like I was just trying to say
It's a very
like,
different vibe.
Yeah, it's like there isn't as much substance abuse, or at least it's not really, encouraged nearly to the same degree it was.
Yeah.
Aside from like it's more about where you grew up and who you're surrounded by, like in real life. But still cause problems.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
That was a
Fair
long
enough.
tangent.
No, but no, it's good. It's always good to know and learn about that stuff. Here we go. Cad. So I'm so sorry. Cad's name added. Tried some amateur wrestling for a friend's project last year. Took me out for the whole week. Can't imagine what pro work would do. That's crazy. Whew. Yeah, I can only imagine that, man.
Yeah, it's like because I haven't looked into it enough. Because like plenty of wrestlers have like written books, and like it's and I really want to read a few just because you get a much better sense of what goes into it. Because it's just impossible to really like actually trying out amateur wrestling and getting like on your ass for a week is like that doesn't sound too surprising to me. From what I've heard, like it takes like you have to have like such a like thick skin, like you have to be able to have like such a high pain tolerance. And your body has to be like so resilient. Like it's not really fair. Like you have to be born a certain way, and you'll have to be willing to treat your body a certain way. It's like even stuff like blading and death matches, like that stuff's like the lower level of like pain.
Yeah.
Like it's like the higher pain is like getting tossed around on your spine over and over again. Yeah.
And like being in uncomfortable situations and doing a lot of lifts and stuff that, like think about like the positions they're in, like they're not doing proper lifting technique and stuff. Like, come on, like they got to make it look like a real fight. So there's a lot of things that they put their bodies through, and you can definitely see the physicality now. Like even like back in the day, like not every wrestler was actually like athletic. You know what I mean?
A lot of it was more about seeing. Yeah, like a lot of it was like seeing big guys fight each other.
Yeah.
And not much, like there wasn't much like as much craft to it.
Yeah.
It was more about like, are you big and have a lot of mass? Like you can hit someone for kind of fake.
Yeah.
Like maybe do it safely. That's enough.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm not sure I'll go through the rest of the card.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go. Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah, it's a very good show. It kind of like matched up with the last two, which have like they've been doing a very good job of like just filling the cards, like because it's like a long show. It's like 4 hours long, like without the extra stuff, and it's like it's very high quality, almost like by default, it's at a high level. And it's very exciting. It's always like a big event.
Yeah, and question: you mentioned that it started at 9. Is that 9 o'clock your time or like
my time in the morning?
Oh, 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, that's. Yeah. I was expecting 9 o'clock at night. I don't know why I was thinking that, but yeah, 9 o'clock in the morning makes sense for the evening. But no, I guess that would have been like a great morning. It seems like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's like it's exhausting. Not even in the building, and it's exhausting.
Thanks so much for enlightening us once again about the world of AEW and what's going on in wrestling. And I guess Tony Khan, like kind of the man behind AEW, purchasing, what was it Ring of Honor? Was it you said?
Yeah, like
Ring of Honor.
There's another promotion that's like kind of they haven't been doing well for a long time. Though they were kind of on their last legs as a promotion, as a company, and the company that owns them wanted to sell them off, and Khan Tony Khan, like he's the person who runs AEW but doesn't own it.
Yeah.
His billionaire dad does. But Tony Khan himself has purchased Ring of Honor to see, and he's like talked about like actually running it as a separate promotion, like alongside AEW.
Is it going to be something like an NXT thing? You know how like that is like setting up the junior wrestlers who are going to move into full on WWE?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of assuming that because I don't think there's any information other than that he plans to keep it going, which he really doesn't have to. It's kind of surprising he's doing it.
Unless he just wants to do something that's his own and not with Dad, you know.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure there's some politics there as well. Who knows?
I just meant it as in like there's very little information. Like they've been very selective in what they're saying so far about that stuff. But it's
build the hype. Build the hype.
Yeah. Like hopefully it makes like a healthier industry because that's still something that like needs to get a little better for the sake of the industry. So hopeful.
Awesome. No, thanks so much, man. Always love learning about what's going on. You know, in the I guess the how should I put it? The wonderful world of wrestling. I'll put it that way. All right, I'll do it.
I will say now, just before I forget.
Yep.
It's like I think in the future, whenever I talk about wrestling, I'll just kind of cover a particular storyline or match and how, in a way that people can get on board with more, rather than just running down cards. Because I bet I can do that better. So. Alrighty,
I'll take your word up on that. But yeah, that's gonna do it. I think that's that was a lot of fun. I think let's wrap it up and let's thank our members in just a sec. As always, thank you to everyone who's watched us live. This was we're very excited to see, very excited to like see how this went, and I think it went pretty well, and excited to see that people were in chat, saying hello, asking us questions, kind of giving their feedback. Like always keen to hear what what everyone at home is like kind of thinking about, or what their opinions are, because we're all part of this wonderful Double Jump community. And as always, Double Jump Radio is made possible thanks to the support of our wonderful members. You too at home can support Double Jump by heading to doublejump.co/memberships and signing up today. But if you can't tip us or become a member, we do appreciate you liking all of our social media posts, reading through our articles, and just sharing us around. We really do appreciate it. You'll see below there's a link to send in your questions to our official podcast email, and we'll definitely endeavor to read your email and answer it live on our next episode. But yes, everyone at home, thank you immensely, John. I am super pumped, to hear what people think about today's episode, and love to see and hear your thoughts about how this episode went. Thank you so much again, John.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone who's listening. Hopefully
I'm sure it will. It's always a fun time, hanging out with you and hanging out with our wonderful community members. As always, head over to doublejump.co to listen to all of our previous episodes, read all of our awesome articles, and find our social media links. And until next time, look out for one another. Peace. Hell yeah.